The rain was relentless, mirroring the storm brewing inside me. Alaric, a 44-year-old IT specialist, stared blankly at the monitor, the lines of code blurring into meaningless symbols. Just a week ago, my life in Seattle was neatly arranged, predictable, and happy, or so I thought. My wife, Bronte, and I were approaching our 15th anniversary. We had a comfortable home, two wonderful kids, and what I believed was a solid, loving relationship. It started subtly. Bronte, a vibrant and outgoing marketing manager, began working late more frequently. Initially, I didn't think much of it. Her company was launching a new product, and I understood the demands of her job. But then came the hushed phone calls, the sudden changes in plans, and the almost imperceptible coolness in her touch. I tried to brush it off, attributing it to stress, but a nagging unease settled in my gut. One evening, Bronte said she had to attend a last-minute conference in Portland. She packed an overnight bag, kissed me and the kids goodbye, and headed out the door. Something felt off. I couldn't shake the feeling that she was lying. I know it sounds cliché, but it was like a switch flipped inside me. I needed to know the truth. Against my better judgment, I decided to follow her. I told myself I was being paranoid, that I was letting my insecurities get the best of me, but the feeling persisted. I waited an hour after she left, then got in my car and headed south on I-5. The drive was agonizing. Every mile felt like a step closer to a truth I wasn't sure I wanted to face. I arrived in Portland late in the evening and checked into a motel near the conference center Bronte had mentioned. I told myself I was just being cautious, that I would check in with her in the morning and apologize for being so suspicious. But deep down, I knew that wasn't the real reason I was there. The next morning, I drove to the conference center and parked across the street. I watched as people streamed in, hoping to catch a glimpse of Bronte. After an hour, I saw her. She was walking hand in hand with a man I didn't recognize. He was tall, handsome, and had an arm casually draped around her shoulder. They were laughing, their faces close together. My heart sank. It was like a punch to the gut, stealing my breath and leaving me gasping for air. I watched them enter the conference center, my mind reeling. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Bronte, my wife, the woman I loved, was having an affair. The pain was excruciating, a raw, burning sensation that spread through my entire body. I sat there in my car, numb, unable to move. The rain continued to fall, washing over the windshield, blurring my vision. I spent the rest of the day in a daze. I couldn't bring myself to confront her. I couldn't bear to hear her lies, to see the guilt in her eyes. Instead, I drove back to Seattle, the weight of betrayal crushing me. I arrived home late that night, the house silent and empty. The kids were asleep, and Bronte wouldn't be back until the next day. I walked through the house, each room a reminder of our life together, of the memories we had shared. The photos on the walls, the children's drawings on the fridge, the cozy living room where we spent countless evenings watching movies, all of it now tainted by her infidelity. I felt like a stranger in my own home, an intruder in a life that was no longer mine. I couldn't sleep. I tossed and turned in bed, my mind racing. I replayed the scene in Portland over and over again, each time feeling the pain anew. How could she do this to me, to us? What had I done to deserve this? The next day, Bronte returned home, acting as if nothing had happened. She hugged me and the kids, asked about our day, and went about her usual routine. I watched her, my heart filled with a mixture of anger and sadness. I wanted to scream, to lash out, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. I was afraid of the confrontation, afraid of the truth. For the next few days, I lived in a state of denial. I tried to convince myself that I had imagined it all, that I had misinterpreted what I had seen in Portland. But the image of Bronte holding hands with that man haunted me, refusing to fade away. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I had to confront her. One evening, after the kids were in bed, I sat Bronte down in the living room. "We need to talk," I said, my voice trembling. She looked at me, her eyes widening slightly. "What is it, Alaric? You seem upset." "I know about Portland," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Her face paled. She looked away, avoiding my gaze. "I don't know what you're talking about." "I saw you, Bronte. I saw you with him. Don't lie to me." Tears welled up in her eyes. "Alaric, who is he?" I demanded, my voice rising. "How long has this been going on?" She hesitated for a moment, then broke down. "It just happened," she sobbed. "It was a mistake." "A mistake," I repeated, my voice filled with disbelief. "You were holding hands, laughing, looking like you were in love. That doesn't sound like a mistake, it's complicated, she said, her voice muffled by tears. His name is Jasper, he is a coworker. We've been working closely together on this new product launch. It just happened. How long, Bronte? How long has this been going on? She looked at me, her eyes filled with shame. A few months, she whispered. A few months. The words echoed in my head, each one a blow to my heart. A few months of lies, of deceit, of betrayal. I felt like I didn't even know the woman sitting in front of me. Why? I asked, my voice cracking. Why did you do this? She shrugged, her eyes downcast. I don't know, she said. I guess I wasn't happy. I felt like we were drifting apart. I needed something more, something more, I repeated, my voice filled with anger. What about our family? What about our vows? What about our love? She didn't answer. She just sat there, sobbing, her face buried in her hands. I stood up and walked away, unable to bear the sight of her. I went into the bedroom and slammed the door shut. I needed to be alone to process what I had just heard. My world had been shattered, my life turned upside down. The woman I loved, the woman I had built a life with, had betrayed me in the worst possible way. I spent the rest of the night in a state of shock. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't think straight. I just sat there staring into space, trying to make sense of it all. The next morning I told Bronte that I wanted a divorce. She begged me to reconsider, to give her another chance, but I couldn't. The trust was gone, the love had died. I couldn't stay with someone who had betrayed me so deeply. The divorce was messy and painful. There were arguments over finances, custody, and property. Bronte tried to blame me, to make me feel guilty, but I refused to let her. I knew that I had done nothing wrong, that I was the victim in this situation. In the end, we reached a settlement. I got custody of the kids and Bronte moved out. I was left with a broken heart and a shattered life, but I was determined to move on, to rebuild my life, to find happiness again. The months that followed were difficult. I struggled to balance work, childcare, and my own emotional needs. I felt lonely, isolated, and lost, but I persevered. I focused on my kids, on my work, and on healing my heart. I started seeing a therapist who helped me to process my emotions and to understand what had happened. I learned that Bronte's affair was not a reflection of my worth as a person, but rather a reflection of her own insecurities and unhappiness. I also started spending more time with my friends and family, who provided me with much-needed support and encouragement. They reminded me that I was loved, that I was valued, and that I was not alone. Slowly but surely, I began to heal. I started to feel like myself again, to find joy in life, to look forward to the future. I realized that I was stronger than I thought, that I could overcome this challenge and emerge a better person. One day, about a year after the divorce, I received a phone call from a mutual friend. "Have you heard about Bronte?" she asked. "No," I said. "What happened?" "She got dumped by Jasper," she said. "He left her for someone else." I felt a pang of satisfaction, a sense of karma. Bronte had left me for another man, and now she had been left for someone else. It wasn't exactly revenge, but it was a small victory. "I'm not surprised," I said. "She made her bed, now she has to lie in it." My friend went on to tell me that Bronte was struggling. She had lost her job, was having financial difficulties, and was estranged from her family. Her life had fallen apart. I felt a twinge of sympathy for her, but I quickly dismissed it. She had made her choices, and she had to live with the consequences. I couldn't let her pain affect me anymore. I had to focus on my own life, on my own happiness. I hung up the phone and took a deep breath. I was finally free. Free from Bronte, free from the pain, free from the past. I was ready to move on, to embrace the future, to find love again. Several years have passed since then. I've rebuilt my life, found a new partner, and created a happy and fulfilling existence for myself and my children. Bronte, on the other hand, continues to struggle. She never remarried, never found lasting happiness, and remains haunted by the choices she made. I don't hate her. I don't wish her ill. I simply pity her. She threw away a good thing, a loving family, for a fleeting moment of excitement. And in the end, she lost everything. My story is a cautionary tale, a reminder that infidelity can have devastating consequences. It can destroy families, shatter lives, and leave lasting scars. It's a choice that should never be taken lightly, but it's also a story of hope, of resilience, and of the power of the human spirit. It's a story that shows that even in the face of betrayal, it is possible to heal, to move on, and to find happiness again. I look back on that dark period of my life with a sense of gratitude. It taught me valuable lessons about love, loss, and the importance of forgiveness. It made me a stronger, more compassionate person. And it ultimately led me to a better, brighter future. One evening, I was tucking my daughter, Wren, into bed. She looked at me with her big, innocent eyes and asked, "Dad, are you happy now?" I smiled and kissed her forehead. "Yes, sweetheart," I said. "I am very happy." And it was true. Despite the pain and heartache I had endured, I had found happiness again. I had learned to love again, to trust again, to live again. And that, I realized, was the greatest victory of all. Time continued its relentless march, and the scars of Bronte's betrayal began to fade, replaced by the warmth of new experiences and the unwavering love of my children. My son, Archer, now a teenager, sometimes asked about his mother, a mix of curiosity and lingering hurt in his eyes. I always answered honestly without bitterness, explaining that sometimes people make mistakes, but that doesn't diminish the love we have for them. One day, I received an unexpected email. It was from Bronte. My first instinct was to delete it, to shut her out of my life completely, but something compelled me to open it. Her message was simple. She was writing to apologize, to acknowledge the pain she had caused, and to express her regret for the choices she had made. She wasn't seeking forgiveness, she wrote, but simply wanted me to know that she understood the depth of her betrayal. I sat there for a long time, staring at the email, my mind flooded with memories both good and bad. I thought about the woman I had loved, the woman who had been my wife, the mother of my children. I thought about the pain she had inflicted, the lies she had told, the trust she had broken. But I also thought about the good times, the laughter we had shared, the dreams we had once held together. After a while, I composed a reply. I thanked her for her apology, acknowledged her regret, and wished her well. I didn't offer forgiveness, but I didn't harbor any resentment either. I had moved on, healed, and found peace. There was no room in my life for anger or bitterness. Life continued its course, filled with its usual ups and downs. I remarried a wonderful woman named Juniper, a kind, compassionate, and intelligent artist who embraced my children as her own. We built a new life together, filled with love, laughter, and mutual respect. One sunny afternoon, Juniper and I were sitting on the porch, watching the children play in the yard. I turned to her and said, "You know, I never thought I could be this happy again." She smiled and took my hand. "You deserve to be happy, Alaric," she said. "You're a good man, a loving father, and a wonderful partner." I squeezed her hand and smiled back. I knew that she was right. I had overcome the pain of betrayal, rebuilt my life, and found happiness again. And that was a testament to the power of resilience, the strength of the human spirit, and the enduring nature of love. My story is not just about betrayal and heartbreak. It's about healing, forgiveness, and the possibility of finding happiness even after the most devastating experiences. It's a reminder that life is full of surprises, both good and bad, and that we have the power to choose how we respond to them. And so, I close this chapter of my life, grateful for the lessons I have learned, the love I have found, and the future that lies ahead. I am Alaric, and this is my story of betrayal, healing, and ultimately, redemption. One day, I even found the courage to volunteer at a local support group for people who had experienced infidelity. Sharing my story and listening to others helped me to further process my pain and to offer hope to those who were struggling. I remember one particular evening, a young man named Sterling approached me after the meeting. His eyes were filled with tears and his voice trembled as he spoke. "I don't know how you did it," he said. "I don't know how you managed to move on after being betrayed like that." I put my hand on his shoulder and looked him in the eye. "It wasn't easy," I said. "It took time, patience, and a lot of hard work, but I promise you it is possible. You can heal, you can move on, and you can find happiness again." He nodded, his eyes filled with a glimmer of hope. "Thank you," he said. "Thank you for sharing your story. It gives me hope that I can get through this too." And in that moment, I realized that my pain had a purpose. It had allowed me to connect with others, to offer them comfort and support, and to inspire them to believe in the possibility of healing. I continued to volunteer at the support group for several years, sharing my story and offering guidance to those who were struggling. I found that helping others helped me to heal even further, to find meaning in my pain, and to create a positive legacy from a negative experience. And so, my story continues, not as a tale of betrayal and heartbreak, but as a testament to the power of the human spirit to overcome adversity, to heal from pain, and to find happiness even in the darkest of times. It is a story of hope, resilience, and the enduring power of love.